Call this meeting to order. I really don't have much for remarks because I don't think I can top anything that the news is talking about today. So it wouldn't make any sense to dwell on it any farther. For our land acknowledgement, we would like to acknowledge that the land we stand upon today is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the neutral peoples. Can I get a mover and a seconder for confirmation of the agenda, please? Moved by Councillor Wilby, second by Councillor Morrison. That the agenda for the regular meeting of council dated March 4th of 2025 be adopted as circulated. All those in favor? And motion carries. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest from any member of council at this time? Seeing none, can I get a mover and a seconder for the minutes of the previous meeting? Councillor Chartrand and Councillor Deal, that the council of the municipality of Huron East approved the following council meeting minutes as circulated. There was a regular meeting on February 18th, 2025, and a public meeting on February 18th of 2025. Are there any comments or questions on either of those minutes? All those in favor? And motion carries. We have a number of items under the consent agenda. Is there anything that anybody would like pulled and have discussed? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to pull and support 6.1. It's from North Bruce Peninsula, speaks to Canada and the province of Ontario setting targets to close the gaps in cell service in rural communities and develop a 48-hour maximum maintenance period for repairing cell service.
Okay. Do I, as seconded by Councillor Chartrand? Okay. Any other comments on that? All those in favor of the motion? And motion carries. Is there anything else that anybody wanted pulled and discussed? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to pull and support 6.4. It speaks to the banning of the Nazi swastika.
Okay. Second by Councillor Deal. Any comments or questions? Councillor Fisher.
A little bit of history about me, Mr. Mayor. This swastika was originally a symbol of peace and communication and people working together in the Hindu religion centuries ago. And the Nazis commandeered it and made it a bad sign instead of a good sign. Thanks.
Okay.
Just a little tidbit for you.
Well, that was news to me. Thank you. All those in favor of the motion? And motion carries. Are there any other items that anybody wanted pulled? Seeing none. All right, let's go mover and a seconder. Mover and a seconder to accept the rest of the consent agenda. Councillor Newell and Councillor Dalton, that the consent agenda items 6.2, 3, and 5 be received for information and approved. All those in favor? And motion carries. Under public meetings, hearings, and delegations, we have a delegation, Mark and Laura Long, proposed zoning bylaw amendment application Z03 of 2024. And who is speaking on behalf of this delegation? Welcome. Come to the podium, please. Introduce yourself.
Hello, Council. I'm Mark Long. So, sir, this is a position I really don't want to be in. I feel like I'm forced into it. I'm here today because Daryl Terpstra asked for a deferral of the council's decision last meeting, not because he heard our concerns. He asked for a deferral because several of the council members, including the planner, suggested a full denial of the application. He decided to take it back and see if the vote swung in his favor. Yes, we purchased our property knowing that there was an operating farm across the road. When the Terpstra family purchased their farm years after us, the first thing they did was build a large silo to feed 4,000 pigs with the current barn size of 2,000 pigs. The silo basically casting a shadow onto our property. It was not until after they built the silo that they showed concern for how close our property was to theirs. And they immediately feared their intention to expand the barn would be difficult given the extreme closeness to our property in the current NDS guidelines. Since then, we've been approached several times by the Terpstras asking us to let them build what they want because they already put money into the new silo. In the fall, Daryl once again approached us, indicating his plan to expand the herd to 4,000 pigs. He asked us simply to sign off on it so he could do what he liked because it wasn't worth building a barn for 1,000 pigs. proposed, we could then build what we wanted for a house, which we already can, confirmed by Shay. We should not feel like we are being bullied to enjoy our small piece of property. We're all for the growing in agriculture business. I work in the ag sector. Nora grew up with a large sow barn operation herself. We both know what it's like to live in the country and the smells that come along with it. Laura's family farm, Rose Farms in Perth County, has been operating for over 50 years. Additions to the farm operation have always been within the county guidelines. These rules are meant to bring harmony and fairness to the community. Bending or exempting the rules is what brings animosity to the community. We are not okay with big farmers like Canada thinking they can bend the rules to suit their own agenda with no regards to hurting the little guys like us in the process. We have owned 50 acres of NE2 property, which we pay significant taxes on. We've watched another big farmer to the east destroy significant amount of NE2 property for his own plans and agenda. Enough's enough. According to Planner Shay, the MDS guidelines can be reduced only if there is no other building options available to the applicant. This is not the case here. Shay provided an alternative location, which Dale turned down because it was not a convenient location. Again, we should not suffer for his conveniences. He built the silo prior to exploring his expansion options. Had he done his homework prior to building the silo, I doubt we'd be having this meeting today. And this should not be used as leverage against us for his farming efficiencies. Daryl's proposed barn size is approximately 3,800 square feet. Farmers typically build barns allowing 8 to 9 square feet per hog. With this calculation, the proposed barn size would house 422 hogs generously, which makes Shay's MDS calculations inaccurate. This again indicates Daryl's not being truthful with the barn expansion intentions. Our fear is if council approves this expansion, they're opening the door to allow the Terpsters to eventually expand to their desired 1,000+ additional hogs. If they were to expand again next year, they simply need to ask for a 300 head expansion, which again is approximately 20% reduction to the MDS guidelines. Although we appreciate the fact that Daryl is offering to plant a tree line as a buffer, we feel that this will do little to mitigate the issue. We deal with it. The wind is not in our favor there. We're done at West Wind. Although Daryl has indicated him and his wife Tanya happily live within 100 meters away from their current barn, they are also reaping the benefits and making money from the pigs. We can hope the council can agree that the MDS guidelines are in place for a reason, to protect property owners like ourselves. Large farming operations should not be given allowance to bend the rules to suit their agenda. If this application is granted, we will seek legal counsel and we will do everything in our power to have it overturned as a point of principle and fairness. We sincerely hope this does not come to this. Thank you, council.
Thank you, Mark. Just in case there's any questions, council, does anybody on council have any questions at this point? Okay, I see none at this time. I did read your documentation that you handed in. You certainly made some good points, and we'll have to hear the rest of the presentation from the planner tonight and go from there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We don't have to second. Okay, so under planning, we will go to 8.1 in the planning report for Z03 of 2024 zoning amendment update report. Welcome, Shay.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is an updated presentation on the deferred applications at 03/2024. The public meeting for this application was held at the last council meeting on February 18th. Next slide. So just a quick visual of the, oh, sorry, back one. So the subject lands, just for a refresher here. So as a refresher, this application proposes 2 separate developments. A hog barn addition on lot 32, that's shown in red there, and then a new barn residence on lot 33, shown with the yellow parcel there. Next slide, please. So for some background on this application, the original application proposed a reduction of 44% 44% reduction to the required MDS two setback for a proposed hog barn expansion. The original barn expansion proposed a 1,000 head expansion, which resulted in a 440-meter setback from the house to the north. The application also proposed 23% MDS one reduction to allow for new farm residents on the lot to the east there. Several concerns and comments were received at and leading up to the public meeting on February 18th. Concerns were raised around the level of MDS two reduction requested, general compatibility with land uses, and potential impacts to the neighboring houses, particularly related to odor, traffic, and nuisance. So at the public meeting, a decision was deferred by council to allow the applicants time to revise the application and consider comments received at the hearing. Next slide, please. So since then, the applicants have amended their application to reduce the proposed size of the barn addition from 1,000 hogs to a 350 head hog addition. The smaller barn is still proposed to be in the same location on the south side of the existing barn. And it is approximately 250 meters away from the nearest house to the north there. So the amended barn size requires an MDS two setback of 312 meters from that house to the north, and that's shown with that red circle there on the aerial photo. And the applicants are now requesting approximately a 20% reduction to that MDS two setback. The smaller barn proposed now also changes the MDS one setback required for the houses on the next lot. So now it's 565 meters, so this change represents approximately a 17% reduction. And that's shown in that purple circle on that image there. Next slide, please. So just a more zoomed out map showing specifically the MDS two setback required with this expansion. So that's the 312 meter setback to each of the residences in the area. Next slide. Just for reference, the same special zones are proposed with this. The only change is the required setback that results from the MDS, the barn results from the MDS two. Next slide, please. So a bit of policy review on the amended application. So I did discuss with the applicants following the public meeting, and we explored alternative locations on the property, just like the barn further away, further in the field, back away from that house to the north. Ultimately, the applicants decided that a detached barn separate from the existing operation was not feasible for their purposes and leads to various biosecurity considerations and loss of efficiencies that was outlined in that first meeting there. So instead, they have suggested a significantly smaller barn addition, which would require a much smaller MDS reduction. So the amended barn size suggests a 20% reduction to the required setback to the house to the north, which is a much more modest and reasonable reduction. While there are existing impacts experienced by the neighbors to the north due to the proximity of the existing operation, the scale proposed with a smaller barn is not likely to create additional significant impacts beyond what's currently experienced. So the MDS guidelines do permit for minor site-specific variances to required MDS setbacks. And the amended application proposes a scale of a barn that meets the intent of the MDS and requests a minor reduction. The proposal also conforms to the agricultural policies of the Huron East official plan. So various policies throughout the plan consider the protection of agricultural operations, while also providing some flexibility for various types and forms of these operations, and having consideration of sensitive uses in the agricultural setting, such as residential uses. The amended application considers a compromise that's more appropriate, a more appropriate scale to addition of the neighboring residents. Next slide, please. So the amended application was circulated to those neighbors who provided comments and concerns at the original public meeting. And were given an opportunity to provide further comments. So we did receive updated comments from all three neighbors who had concerns with the initial proposal. Full copies of those comments were included in the council agenda for your reference. Mark spoke more to their comments and concerns with the amended proposal here. And a similar concern was echoed among all three landowners concerned about the future subsequent barn expansions on the site. Fearing that the smaller addition proposed now is not the end goal for the property. Next slide, please. So just a couple site photos of what the operation looks like. Currently, these are just from the road, so you can kind of see the existing scale from the road. And next slide. And then I've just included this photo in response to some of those concerns around future subsequent additions. Any further expansion or intensification of the livestock operation here will trigger a new MDS calculation. And any additional livestock here will need to go through a similar process to request a reduction to any MDS setbacks that are required. So as an example here, I've run through the MDS required for additional barns. Say the proposal is approved today. So if we look at the blue box being the 350 head expansion today, and 2 years down the line, they come back for another similarly sized barn. The new required MDS 2 setback would then be 386 meters. So that's what I've shown with that light blue circle there. And it will continue to get larger to account for the compounding size of the operation. So nothing would prevent the landowners from applying at a later date. However, they have indicated no further expansion plans at this time. And any subsequent additions will have a larger MDS2 setback requiring the same process as we're going through today. Next slide, please. So from a policy perspective, since the amended application complies with the Planning Act, is consistent with the PPS and conforms to the Huron County and Huron East official plans, it's recommended that the amended application be approved. And it also advises council to consider comments based on the delegation we heard today too. And I believe the applicants are here as well in the gallery if council has any questions for them specifically.
If I started off then, Shay, I can appreciate the fact that you're doing a report based on the information that's supplied to you, because that's all you have to work with. There were some, I'm gonna say, valid concerns if I was the neighbor about an expansion and then another expansion, and you have explained part of that. When a barn is built, how can council be assured of the fact that there will only be 350 units in the barn, and that it wouldn't be overbuilt to begin with the statement that there's only going to be 350, but it could be more? We don't have an audit process.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So based on how the MDS guidelines work, what Brad would be issuing the permit on is based on livestock capacity of the barn, so based on the nutrient units. So in the calculation that we run, whatever the total nutrient units is with this expansion, that's what he would be basing the building permit on. So if the barn size that they've shown at 3,800 square feet is in fact a little oversized for that, the building permit would be issued based on livestock capacity of the barn. So that may be a little bit bigger than the actual barn would be. As far as if additional live animals are put in the barn kind of after the permit goes in, that would be more of a bylaw enforcement case.
Questions to council? Councilor Sharp.
Questions or maybe comments, so right now you've got this as a minor variance. And it is possible if they come back a year or two from now and want another 350, based on your formula, that would be considered a minor variance as well, from the numbers I calculate.
Yeah, so this application is actually being proposed as a zoning amendment.
Right.
Instead of a minor variance, partially to apply for both properties, but also to kind of look at the larger the larger impact.
But you made a statement that under your current rules and that you do allow for minor variances for NDS reductions.
That's correct.
This is a minor variance in your opinion. So the point that I'm making is they could come back again and it could be considered a minor variance again, which would fall within the guidelines.
Yeah, that is correct.
Well, for me personally, we heard about family succession planning. We heard about, the fact that I can't see how they could spend all that money to build an addition for only 350 barns and be happy with that. Mr. Long is correct. The NDS is put in place to protect the public. And if they were to build the current barn that they have today in relationship to where the Longs are living, it wouldn't be allowed under NDS.
That's
It
correct.
wouldn't be, but they knew what they were getting into, the Longs, when they bought it. So now we want to create a situation where we're gonna make the odor and other issues worse by allowing this. To me, it sounds like smoke and mirrors that in the future they're gonna add on, and I will not be supporting your recommendation.
Any other comments or questions? Councillor Deal?
You say that the barn is 38. Did you say it was 3,800?
Yeah, 3,800 square feet is the approximate size that they
Approximate
indicated.
In my opinion, it's not good business sense to build something that's that size for sure. And we heard at the last meeting that this was for succession planning, and again, it's not good business practice for such a small expansion, I guess. Sorry, I'm just also, I'm not sure that it was noted, but the applicant has of course moved his home or his potential new home further away from the barns to avoid the same issues. Anyways, I won't be supporting this either. It's not right that the little guy type thing has to deal with what the big ones like to shove at them. Sorry.
Any other comments or questions, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Just a couple comments as well. Shay, in your report, through you to Shay, in your report on page 39, under additional comments, you make that statement, not likely to create additional significant impacts beyond what is currently experienced. I know that's just a statement, but it's kind of hard to justify that too. I mean, obviously, more pigs, more smell, more flies, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, in my mind, that's the way I see it. If I can carry on, Mr. Mayor, I just want to state too, that I do question investing in a feeding system, maybe an oversized feeding system that's yet to be said, without some security, the possibility of an expansion for your operation. And the comment that was made about building the standalone barn more to the south would negatively affect the hog farming business to the neighboring farm. But Clayton already stated in his presentation about succession planning that he plans indeed to build a weaner operation on lot 33, which in fact would be closer to the Dennis Terpstra operation. So I just find that statement kind of moot at this point here. The barns on this property were built too close to the road and to the Long property long before MSD. We have a choice here as council to make the best decision, to make it as right as what we can. And I feel we need to reject this amendment, and I'll be voting no.
Any other, Councillor McGrath?
It's more than 10%, no matter how you calculate, and that just opens a floodgate, not necessarily a floodgate, but that just opens future decisions we'd have to make. So somebody comes along and wants, well, you know, you got to draw a line somewhere, and my line is a 10% differential. So at that, I'll be voting no because of what could affect us in the future. Somebody comes and wants another 20 or 25% reduction. Otherwise, say no to that one. Well, I didn't say to this, so yes, I won't be supported for that reason, more than 10%.
Any other councillors?
Point of clarification for your motions. The first one is basically a statement that we've already held a public meeting. And so that no more notice is required, so that motion will have to be read first. That's just
Okay.
our public meeting, motion. And then the second one is the acceptance or denial.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Shortman?
Yeah, this application is for the house as well as the barn expansion. Now, council gave the opportunity to the Terpsters last time, Mayor, to separate the two. And they chose not to. So when we defer this, or if it goes no tonight, then the ball's in their park, what they want to do with the house in the future.
Yeah,
Correct.
That's correct. They could choose to reapply for variance just of the house by itself and consider that independently.
Okay, so I do need a mover and a seconder for the first part of this, and this is just basically confirming actions council has taken in the past, so it's not committing anything at this point. Moved by Councillor Deal, second by Councillor Chartrand. Whereas the council of the corporation of the municipality of Huron East has held a public meeting pursuant to section 34, paragraph 12 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, with respect to a proposed zoning bylaw affecting in section 10, lot 32, 45181 Newry Road, and in section 10, lot 33, 45253 Newry Road, Gray Ward, in the municipality of Huron East zoning bylaw amendment application Z03 2024. And whereas certain changes have been made to the proposed bylaw after the holding of the public meeting, now therefore the council of the corporation of the municipality of Huron East hereby resolves that pursuant to section 34, paragraph 17 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, no further notice is to be given in respect of the proposed bylaw 14 of 2025. Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Council, could just give me a second here. I want to read through this motion to make sure I'm getting the next part. Okay. Okay. Well, actually, no, I should leave it as it's printed because it's in the positive format. So the actual motion, that is on here is to concur with the official, recommendation from the planning department. If we turn it down, then we turn it down. That's fine. That's the decision of council. But I should still read it as it is because it's a motion in a positive format, which is the preferred method for motions. To put it on the floor, do I have any mover in a second? Councillor Deal and Deputy Mayor. Whereas the council of the municipality of Huron East has held a public meeting pursuant to section 34, paragraph 12 of the Planning Act 1990 with respect to the proposed zoning bylaw 14, 2025. And whereas public and agency comments were received on this application, now therefore pursuant to section 34, paragraph 18 of the Planning Act 1990, council concurs with the March 4th, 2025 planning report and recommends bylaw 14 of 2025 for approval. All those in favor, sorry?
May I ask for a recorded vote?
Absolutely. A recorded vote has been requested. Give the clerk a second to get her list together. Councillor Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to be clear, a
vote in favor is to pass
build the barn.
is to build the barn.
Thank you.
Okay, so it has been requested by Deputy Mayor McClellan. If you are in favor of building the barn as recommended by the planner, you say yes. If you are opposed, it's no. Starting with Deputy Mayor.
No.
Councillor Morrison,
No.
Councillor Newell,
No.
Councillor Steffler is absent. Councillor Wilby,
No.
Councillor Chartrand,
No.
Councillor Dalton,
No.
Councillor Deal,
No.
Councillor Fisher,
No,
Mayor McClellan,
No.
Councillor McGrath.
No,
That's unanimous defeated.
very much. I take it now that it's defeated, there is no need for another motion at this point, correct? Okay. Next, we go on to planning reports on that modernization, the final report. Bring that over. Jay again.
Thank you. So I don't have a presentation for this one, I'll just try and keep it brief. So we held the, public meeting for our zone map modernization project, last month. So I went into a lot of the details as far as what we're proposing and the changes we've seen, as well as the comments we've received, throughout this process. So I'll just keep it, high level as far as the changes that we've made since that public meeting. So a couple minor text amendments that we're proposing to add, more housekeeping things that have kind of been on the list for a while. So the four unit limit on farm labor housing, just proposed to put a cap on that. Currently, there's no cap on the amount of units permitted for on farm labor housing. So we're introducing a 4-unit limit. Adding dwelling with support to the CF community facility zone to provide some more mix of uses there. And then we're also amending the definition of the front lot line in our zoning bylaw definitions to allow the municipality to designate either lot line to be the front lot line. So in the case of a corner lot, we had a minor variance a year and a half ago to address this where it was an issue for row houses. So just avoid the need for a minor variance every time that issue comes up. And then other changes more related to the maps since the public meeting. So we did get some comments during the public meeting related to the proposed change from the existing industrial zone to a light industrial M1 zone. So it was proposed to add to change selective industrial zones that are in close proximity to sensitive uses such as residences to that light industrial use, to recognize certain industrial uses would be constrained by sensitive uses and provide a more transparent approach to appropriate compatible uses on the property. We received comments indicating that this change had the effect of hindering the form of development that was previously permitted on these properties. And compatibility in many cases can be addressed through compatibility studies, as well as other various mitigation measures. So we discussed noise walls, dust ventilation, other measures that the industries can do to mitigate noise and air emissions. So we are proposing that the split zone approach with the M1, M2 is only to be used on a go-forward basis. So all existing industrial properties will just change to that M2 general industrial. And M1, the light industrial zone, will only be used for new lots created going forward. Just note that industrial properties that are in proximity to sensitive uses will still need to consider the ministry guidelines and compatibility through those studies and the mitigation measures that I noted. And then last thing we did throughout the review, we have looked at zoning the 12 to Goddard's Trail that runs through Huron East in a more consistent approach. So previously there was bits that were agriculture, bits that were natural environment, some open space. So we've changed it all to open space for consistency, and we're suggesting a special provision to clarify that MDS does not apply to this area to avoid unintended impacts to surrounding agricultural settings. So that's kind of highlight of the changes since that meeting. And I'm recommending that council approve the mapping portion of the zone modernization project and pass the corresponding bylaw. And I'm here for any questions on that.
Are there any questions for Shay? Councillor Chartrand?
Thank you. So the delegation, I was here last time by Jason Out from Vanastra Packaging. So we're not changing anything on his property at all.
That's correct. It will change, the label will change to that general industrial M1, but the provisions and the permitted uses are exactly the same as the existing IMD zone. So
The way you purchased the property is the same.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, council? Councillor Fisher?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Shay, please, as our conversation this afternoon, Shay, I'm still, concerned about this 4 units that can be built for farm labor. How do we know the units aren't gonna have 8 beds in each or 6 beds in each, whatever? Is there any control given or any thoughts of controlling that?
Yeah, thank you. So we don't have that level of control at the zoning bylaw level. I think Denise briefly spoke on this last time that the specific size of the units would be further controlled at the building permit stage. And if the based on plumbing fixtures in the unit. I don't have all the details of the actual building code, but the building code would further regulate that. There may be potential for them to build larger units. If it beyond a certain capacity, so I think about 10,000 liters a day, then it gets tripped into Ministry of Environment control as far as the septic system goes. So there is some further control there. But as far as the zoning bylaw level, we don't get into that level of detail.
So potentially they could build, if they're willing to spend the money on, septic, whatever, they could build quite large places.
In
If they
theory,
met the
yes.
building, if they met,
If they were considered to be one, or under that 4-unit maximum. Currently, there is no maximum on the amount of units for on-farm labor housing. So just looking at introducing that upper limit at this time.
thank you.
Any other questions at this point? Seeing none, can I get a mover and a seconder for this, please? Moved by Councillor Wilby, second by Councillor Fisher, that the council of the municipality of Huron East approve the mapping portion of the zone map modernization project. All those in favor? And motion carries. Next, we have consent application C 46 of 2024.
Thank you.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, so this is a presentation for consent application C 46 by 24. The owner and applicant is, or the owner is Emmanuel McClure and applicant is Robbie McClure. I believe they're in the gallery today. And the address here is 7650 Tiffin Road. Next slide, please. So on the right there is an aerial image of the property as a whole. So it's a quite large property at the south end of Egmontville. And then on the left there is a little bit more zoomed in. The red shaded box is the proposed area to be severed. And then this is a sketch showing the little bit more detail of the proposed lot lines and potential building area, building envelope and septic bed. Next slide, please. We'll get a bit more into the purpose here. So this application is proposing a residential infill lot. The proposed severed lands are approximately half an acre or 2,000 square meters of vacant land. And the retained area is approximately 199 acres, consisting of agricultural land, natural environment, and there's a farm residence on the property as well. Next slide, please. So just looking at the current land use status, specifically of the severed parcel. So the area proposed to be severed is designated urban in the official plan and is currently zoned R1, so that low density residential. The map on the right there just shows where the extent of the R1 area is. Highlighted in pink there, that's approximately the proposed severed lot. And then south of that, we have natural environment area, and the remainder of the property is zoned agriculture. Next slide, please. So a couple of studies were required to as a complete application requirements. So a nitrate study was completed by Wilson Associates. The study concluded that soils here could support the proposed residential development on a septic system. It did note that the septic bed may need to be slightly raised, but otherwise flagged no concerns. And then a stage 1 and 2 archaeology study was completed by Timmins Martell. And there was some participation from the Haudenosaunee Development Institute. The study concluded that no further archaeological assessment was required. So getting into some comments here, so Sawville Bayfield Conservation Area submitted some comments. The subject property is within ABCA's regulated area and within the hazard associated with the Bayfield River. The municipality or the applicant engaged ABCA early on in the discussion and had good discussions with them to find an area that would work, that would remain outside of the hazard area. So the proposed severed parcel is currently proposed to be entirely outside of the regulated area and outside of the hazard area associated with the river. As such, ABCA noted no concerns from a natural heritage perspective. It is noted that the applicant should work with ABCA when working on the survey to ensure that the lot remains outside of their regulated area, and also work with the Conservation Authority for any filling or alteration to the site that may be needed. And then we had some comments from the neighbor to the east. So they noted some concerns with the location of the east lot line. So on the sketch proposed, there's an objection that the proposed lot boundary, it's the east lot line there, is actually encroaching on what's believed to be the neighbor's property. So I had a discussion with the neighbor and noted that a legal survey would be required as a condition of this application. And that would confirm the actual extent of the lot boundaries, clear up any dispute as far as where the lot line ends. And it is noted that if the east lot line is in fact encroaching on the neighbor's property as it's shown on the sketch, the lot would need to shift towards the west. And if there's not enough space to accommodate the minimum lot size, that'll need to be addressed through a zoning amendment or minor variance. And then the neighbor also noted some additional concerns with erosion and stormwater impacts, as well as the soil conditions and drainage. So that kind of ties into Public Works comments. So we did discuss drainage and stormwater with Public Works. And they noted that stormwater management needs to be addressed on the site and suggested a development agreement as a condition to ensure that lot grading and drainage plans are done in an appropriate manner. And if there's additional mitigation measures that need to be built, such as a swale or a berm, that will be included on the stormwater management plan. Or sorry, the lot grading and drainage plans. Next slide, please. So just a visual here showing the Conservation Authority regulated area. So the green dots is the regulated area, and then the floodplain is the blue hatched in behind. So the proposed lot is just outside of that limit there. Next slide, please. Just a couple photos of the proposed severed area. Just kind of looking towards the river on the left image there. And then the image on the right, we're kind of looking towards that, the neighbor's property, looking east. Next slide, please. And then just one more picture of the property here. So the applicant does recognize that the area proposed to be severed does experience a slight grade change. So some filling and site alteration will be required to facilitate the new development. That will be one coordinated with ABCA, and Public Works will coordinate to ensure stormwater management is considered in an appropriate manner. Just a picture so you can see kind of what it looks like. Kind of all the snow. Sorry, I must have missed my slide for the review. So looking at the policy review for this, so the application proposes to sever a portion of residentially zoned land fronting on Front Street from the remainder of the farmland for a new residential building lot. The subject area is within the settlement area of Edmondville. And the Huron East official plan provides policies for severances in an urban settlement area, such as Edmondville. So both the Huron East official plan, PPS 2024 and County OP all provide policies permitting limited residential infill in secondary settlement areas on partial servicing such as Edmondville. The lot size here is sized to appropriately sized for a low density residential development on partial services, so septic system and municipal water. And it meets the minimum lot size for a partially serviced lot based on the zoning bylaw. There is no water currently servicing the property, but it is noted that there is water service available on the road. That'll need to be coordinated with Public Works to connect. So as the application is consistent with the PPS conforms to the county official plan and Huron East official plan, and will comply with the Huron East zoning bylaw, the application is recommended for approval with the attached conditions.
Any questions of council? Councilor Chartrand?
Just a comment, I want to comment to the applicant, I'm glad to see that he's done his due diligence and homework and followed the procedures to make sure that this thing could happen right, and want to see that all the time when somebody comes forward, so that's awesome.
Any other comments of council? Can I get a mover and a seconder to accept the report? Councilor Wilby, Councilor Dalton, that the council of the municipality of Huron East acknowledge the report of Huron County Planner Shay Stahl dated February 27th of 2025 and has no objection. The consent application C-46-2024, provided the conditions as outlined in the planning report are met. Comments or questions? All those in favor? Motion carries. On to consent application C-80 of 2024.
So this application applies to 45731 Road. The owner is William Griesbach and the applicant is David Donald from Monty Ritzma. Next slide, please. So just some aerial image. Sorry, I'm gonna give the gallery a second here. Okay, perfect, a little better. So just an aerial image of the subject property here. So the farm outlined in orange on the left there, and the proposed severed lot is outlined in more detail in the blue, with the blue outline on the right. Next slide, please. So the purpose of this application is to create a new lot under the surplus farm residence severance policies. The retained land is approximately 97 acres consisting of vacant agricultural land. And the proposed severed land is approximately 2.73 acres consisting of a house and drive shed. Next slide, please. The property is zone AG1 in the Huron East zoning bylaw and designated agriculture in the Huron East official plan. The proposal meets the Huron East official plan policy requirements under the surplus farm residence consent policies. So the house is surplus to the purchaser of the property, so there will be a condition attached that the retained farmland be transferred in the name of the qualifying purchaser. And the new lot is limited in size, so as not to remove additional farmland from production. And there's an existing farm access on the south portion of the severed parcel there. Next slide, please. So just a couple images of the existing brick house and the drive shed on the severed parcel here. And next slide. No comments were received from staff, public, or other agencies on this. And as a result, the application is consistent with the PPS, conforms to the Huron County and Huron East special plans, and complies with the Huron East zoning bylaws. So application C 80/2024 is recommended for approval with the attached conditions. Your great questions on that one as well.
Any questions of council? The only comment I have is I'm really happy to see that we keep the acreage down as small as we want. You get down to less than 3 acres on a farm parcel, that's doing a good job. Can I get a mover and a seconder for the report? Moved by Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Deal. That the Council of the Municipality of Huron East acknowledge the report of Huron County Planner Shay Stahl dated February 27th, 2025, and has no objection to the consent application C 80 of 2024, provided the conditions as outlined in the planning report are met. All those in favor? And motion carries. Thank you very much, Shay. We are down to municipal drains, complete drain maintenance.
Just an overview report of the maintenance that's been completed to date. So there's several bylaws on the agenda. So this report just kind of covers those to make sure everybody knows the work that was completed.
Okay, Deputy Mayor.
We just, through you, just pass along to Ken, that's an excellent report, it's great to see that, so it is, it really answers a lot of questions like that, so just pass that along.
Can I get a mover and a seconder for the report? Councillor Chartrand, Councillor Morrison, that the Council of the Municipality of Huron East consider the bylaws to levy the costs for work completed on various municipal drains. All those in favor? And motion carries. Reports and recommendations of municipal officers, the Willie bin update. It just says to be received for information. I realized I was going through it really fast, but something seemed a little confusing to me. Just give me half a second. I thought I read something where the way it was written, oh yeah. Oh, I see, sorry, now I understand what I did wrong. So, right, the 92,402 and the 92,402, that does show the new increases that council has already asked.
We already approved.
That where I've already gone there. Okay, sorry. For some reason, I thought that was the end of last year's and the start of this year's when I read through it correctly incorrectly. Okay, that was for information only. So unless there was any questions of council, I think none. I have nothing under correspondence or unfinished business. I will go to council reports. And Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So on February the 19th, County Council, that was our audit committee day. KPMG presented this report and given the county was given a clean report at council then that day. The Madison Bridge Association were there to give us a report on their fundraising. I think it reported last year that there was some work needed to be done on some of the piers of that bridge there just outside of Goderich. So they fundraised and raised $690,000 to do that phase 1 of the project. They still need $300,000 to do the phase 2. So they came to council, I think, just to give us some information. And there was a motion made that maybe we should lend them the $300,000 to finish their project. But anyway, there is a report coming from the treasurer, I believe at our meeting tomorrow, as to whether or not we should do that or how we would do it. We're replacing the boilers at the Jacob Memorial Building for a price of $193,000. We asked for a report for installing generators at all EMS stations that don't already have one. David Wagner was appointed the Huron County Community Emergency Management Coordinator. I think that was everything that I had from that. I could just carry on. I just want to say that Councillor Fisher and myself, we took part in the coldest night of the year walk here in Seaforth on February the 22nd. I think there was about 25 or 30 people out there, something like that. Pretty good turnout.
Yeah.
Cold wind that day, but it was a good turnout. So that's everything I got.
Thank you for that. I only have one thing from county council. It was interesting that the day after we had our budget report, and we had a couple questions here, we had our auditors for the county show up that day. So I asked a question that was asked here at, the council chambers about, how is it possible that our auditors missed the misfiling of the,
Reserves.
the reserve? Thank you very much. I asked the auditor if that's something that an audit would ever catch. And he was pre-warned, it had nothing to do with the audit that he just did. But he said absolutely not. He said that's not something that an audit goes into. They have a lot of things that they specifically check, double check, check processes. But he says if it was passed in a budget that you were gonna raise certain amounts of money for reserves, the fact that it got raised and put into a reserve, that's all that they would verify. If it was mislabeled as to the wrong reserve, he says that certainly happened before. It's not the first time it's ever happened. But he says that's not something that an audit would catch. So I just wanted council to be aware of that. It was just lucky that we had our audit report the very next day and I was able to ask that question because it was raised here. Are there any other boards, committees, meetings, or seminars? Councillor Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was at the United Way Community Meeting Thursday, along with Ms. Berard, and they talked about the increase in what do they call it? Intimate partner violence in rural areas. It's bad to very bad. And the fact that it's rural, there just is not the support that there is in the cities for ladies and families that have to go somewhere. Coldest night of the year raised well over, no, I shouldn't say well over $5,000. And they're not sure yet if they have raised enough funds to start the market in April. They're hoping there's a couple more donations they're waiting for. Hopefully they'll be able to open up in April. If not, they'll bankroll the money and it will be done in the fall or next year.
Thank you for that information. Are there any other boards, committees, meetings, or seminars? Councillor Chartrand.
Yes, at our Sawmill Bayfield committee meeting, our board of directors, we had our elections at our last meeting. And I moved up now from vice chair to chair of the Sawmill Bayfield Conservation.
Congratulations.
No.
Next on the agenda, are there any requests by members at this time? Seeing none, are there any notices of motion for council? Seeing none, any announcements at this time? Councillor Deal.
If anyone's interested, I still have tickets for the fish supper at the Cranbrook Hall. I believe it's the 12th. Sorry, my days are muddling together here.
Well,
Yeah. It is the 12th,
yes.
and they're $25. Thank you.
If there's no other announcements, we will go to bylaws. Can I get a mover and a seconder for bylaw 14?
Sorry, that one you wanted to do because that was defeated with the zoning bylaw.
Okay. Thank you. Can I get a mover and a seconder for bylaw 16, please? Councillor Deal, Deputy Mayor, that be it hereby resolved that bylaw 16 of 2025, a bylaw to authorize the collection of assessments on the Dodds Municipal Drain Central Huron be given first, second, third, and final readings, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. All those in favor? And motion carries. Mover and a seconder for bylaw 17. Councillor Morrison, Councillor Chartrand, that be it hereby resolved that bylaw 17 of 2025, a bylaw to levy the cost of work undertaken on the Baker Municipal Drain be given first, second, third, and final readings, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. All those in favor? And motion carries. A mover and a seconder for bylaw 18, please. Councillor Wilby, Councillor Deal, that be it hereby resolved that bylaw 18 of 2025, a bylaw to levy the cost of work undertaken on the Dennis Municipal Drain be given first, second, third, and final readings, and signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. All those in favor? And motion carries. A mover and a seconder for bylaw 19. Moved by Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Deal, that be it hereby resolved that bylaw 19 of 2025, a bylaw to levy the cost of work undertaken on the Driscoll municipal drain be given first, second, third, and final readings and signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. All those in favor? And motion carries. Mover and a seconder for bylaw 20. Councillor Dio, Councillor Dalton, that be it hereby resolved that bylaw 20 of 2025, a bylaw to levy the cost of work undertaken on the Hall municipal drain be given first, second, third, and final readings, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. All those in favor? Motion carries. A mover and a seconder for bylaw 21, please. Councillor Morrison and Councillor Newell, that be it hereby resolved that bylaw 21 of 2025, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 52 of 2006, the zone maps, be given first, second, third, and final readings, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. All those in favor? And motion carries. Should have maybe asked this question earlier, but before I go to the closed session. Brad, I did forward the request from HPHA through. Did you have a chance to review that yet?
They're just looking for your input on their strategic plan.
We'll have to read this strategic plan
Yes.
first. Okay. Okay, I was just assuming this was, because of discussions we'd had in the past, but been invited now to sit at the table for HPHA just to discuss their strategic plan going forward. And they have asked that we come to the meeting and actually make comments on it. Just got this week. I think it's not till Friday that we even have to confirm that we're going. We've been asked, we will definitely show up. I'll take the opportunity to find out what it is, and if there's an opportunity to discuss anything with council prior to that meeting, I certainly will do that if it's before the next council meeting. I can't remember what the date was, but I thought it was late March. Sometime, but anyways, if there's an opportunity to discuss it with council, I will, and if not, at least we've been asked to show up and we have been asked to partake, so hopefully that's a good sign moving forward. Can I get a mover and a seconder to go into closed, please? Moved by Councilor Chartrand, second by Councilor Deal, that a closed meeting of council being held on Tuesday, March 4, 2025 at 7:02 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers in accordance with section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001 for the purpose of the following matters. 16.1, adoption of the February 18, 2025 closed session of council meeting minutes. And 16.2 under paragraph 239, section 239, paragraph 2, subsection B, subsection D, personnel matters about identifiable individuals and labor relations. And that the CAO Brad McRoberts and clerk Jessica Rudy